I've always been curious. You hear about these ancient practices, these rituals people have done for thousands of years, and I kept seeing this number pop up everywhere, 40 days. 40 days in the desert, 40 days of rain. It's this universal theme of testing and transformation. So I decided to try it myself. I committed to praying, sincerely praying, for 40 days straight. No skipping, no excuses. And listen, what happened wasn't some magical, heaven-parting miracle. It was quieter, stranger, and way more real than that. The first week was, hard. My mind was all over the place. I'd sit down to pray, and my brain would immediately start composing a grocery list or replaying an awkward conversation from 5 years ago. I realized my normal state is basically constant mental noise. Praying felt like trying to thread a needle on a speeding train. It was frustrating. I didn't feel spiritually connected. I felt bored and fidgety. But I stuck with it, just showing up, day after day.
Then, around day 10 or 11, something subtle shifted. The noise didn't stop, but I started to notice a tiny space between my thoughts. It was like the mental chatter was a radio playing in another room, and I was just sitting in a quiet chair down the hall. I wasn't necessarily hearing a divine voice, but the act of consistently quieting myself, even for a few minutes, began to create a sense of calm I could carry with me. It was less about what I was saying to God and more about learning to be still. This is where it gets interesting. By the halfway point, around day 20, I started noticing changes in my daily life. I was more patient in traffic. I listened better when my friend was telling me about her bad day, instead of just waiting for my turn to talk. It was like my internal reaction time had gotten a half-second longer. I had this little pocket of pause before I responded to things. That pause, I believe, was the first real fruit of the practice. It wasn't dramatic, but it was powerful. And listen, I looked into this, and science actually has some explanations for this feeling. Studies on people who meditate regularly, which is very similar to contemplative prayer, show that it can physically change your brain. It thickens the prefrontal cortex. That's the part responsible for focus and decision-making. And it calms down the amygdala, which is your brain's fear center. So my brain wasn't just feeling different, it was literally rewiring itself, becoming less reactive and more resilient. This wasn't just a feeling, it was neurology.
The hardest days were in the 30s. The novelty had worn off completely. It felt like a chore, like brushing your teeth. Some days I felt nothing. No connection, no peace. Just me saying words into what felt like an empty room. But I learned that showing up on those empty days was maybe more important than the days where it felt easy. It was building discipline, a kind of muscle memory for my spirit. It taught me that faith isn't a constant emotion. It's a commitment you keep, even when you don't feel it. So, on the 40th day, I sat down, expecting some grand finale, a sign, a feeling of completion, something. But it was just quiet, peaceful, normal. And that's when I understood. The miracle wasn't waiting for me on day 40. The miracle was in the process itself. The transformation was in the cumulative effect of all those small, quiet moments.
Here's what I really learned. I didn't get everything I prayed for, not even close, but I developed a capacity to handle the things I got. The anxiety I used to carry around, it's still there sometimes, but it's quieter, like it's lost its microphone. I feel a deeper sense of connection, not just to God, but to people. I find myself more grateful for small things, a good cup of coffee, the sun coming through the window. Listen, the point of this isn't to tell you to go pray for 40 days. The point is that there's something powerful in committing to something, anything, that quietens the noise. It could be prayer, it could be a walk in nature, it could be just sitting in silence for 5 minutes every morning. We are so busy, so stimulated all the time.
This 40-day journey taught me that the most profound changes often happen in the silence beneath the noise. It's not about hearing a voice from the clouds, it's about finally hearing yourself. And that changes everything.